And Mississippi State will hustle over to get the tip. Jerkayla Jordan, number 2 in that maroon jersey. And then Lauren Park Lane, the transfer point guard from Seton Hall, sets things up for the Bulldogs.
South Carolina in a man-to-man defense. It's going to be important for Mississippi State to take care of the basketball, not allow the Gamecocks to get out in transition.
Debrecia Poe back over to Aaron Barnum, who transferred in from Arkansas. 3 seconds from the free throw line. It's out, and the rebound by Raven Johnson. This is South Carolina's starting 5 this year. Maybe the biggest surprise in this starting lineup has been Chloe Kitts, as she takes the shot and hits.
She earned her way. When she was an early enrollee last year, she didn't play very much. Very disappointed. She worked in the offseason and has found herself in the starting lineup.
Mississippi State has used 6 different starting lineups this year because they've had injuries in and out throughout the season. They're feeling pretty good right now, though, about the lineup they've got. Lauren Park Lane with the putback. One of the shortest players on the court getting the putback in the paint.
And against South Carolina, their size inside. You watch Chloe Kitts and how she operates from that high post. She's a great 4 player, and she can find Kamilla Cardoso down low.
And Cardoso misses that shot, but the chemistry between Chloe Kitts and Cardoso has been so important this season, and they'll get a carrying call on Mississippi State. Well, Dawn Staley's team is one of 4 in the nation with 4 or more ranked wins. They are undefeated. They have put up 100 points 5 times already this season. That ties a program record.
I talked about the balance in scoring. Yes, it's always been about the post and the paint. But this season, South Carolina can shoot the 3 as well, and it's not just Paopao. Raven Johnson, Bree Hall can shoot it as well.
Okay, I know you love the inside game. Are you okay with the outside? Jerkayla Jordan swings it over to Poe. She'll get the screen from Aaron Barnum, and Debrecia Poe with the 3.
I like this sophomore. She was all SEC in her freshman season, but now she's that swing player. She can play the 3, and she's got the strength to play inside.
Lauren Park Lane, LPL special. Mississippi State, they told us, Sam Purcell said, we have got to score early.
Well, you got to defend, and if you can create offense off your defense, that's a good sign for Mississippi State.
Back inside to Cardoso, and she's going to be fouled by Carter.
And a lot of people passed on Park Lane when she came out of high school. She is so competitive, and she's the balanced point guard because she can score it. They want to be extra secure with the basketball.
Jessica Carter forced outside of the paint, and that was a problem on Thursday against Vanderbilt. She wasn't allowed inside. Didn't score after the first quarter.
Look at that connection between Cardoso and Kitts. Kitts not able to finish.
Lauren Park Lane feeding Jerkayla Jordan. Bree Hall to the elbow. Kamilla Cardoso there on cleanup duty, banks it in. It's getting louder in CLA. Lauren Park Lane.
You don't want this to be a high possession game, and he is really just taking his time on the offensive end.
Kitts working on Barnum. She'll kick back out to Te-Hina Paopao.
Jerkayla Jordan is all over Paopao.
Raven Johnson going in, and she's fouled over the summer. And that 4 position for South Carolina, it's like another point guard.
That 4 spot to create the opportunities for Kamilla Cardoso. Now, Watkins is a different kind of 4. She's more of a power and a defensive presence, man. She had 6 block shots against Florida.
Mississippi State, though, with an early lead. Darian Rogers putting up in their foul.
Taking good shots.
Darian Rogers to the NCAA tournament in his first year.
Building with his players, you can tell with how well he can talk to them, and they really get the message.
Sanaya Fagan is blocked down low by Quinera Montague.
Now, Montague, that is the future of Mississippi State right there. 6'5" body, long arms. She likes the physicality. She can do work inside.
Talking about 24 in maroon. Aaron Barnum waiting for the defense to go by. There goes Montague.
I talked to Sam Purcell last night. I said, look, I'm on campaign. Montague needs a few more minutes. He said half a star from Mississippi's delivered the same message.
Yeah. Message received. Bree Hall pulling up in the field. 4 of their 5 starters shoot over 50%. Rogers, too much. Raven Johnson will push pace. Watkins coming down by herself. Mississippi State takes the timeout. They'll have 11 seconds on the shot clock. Jerkayla Jordan to inbound. Finds Barnum. And Jordan gets a layup.
Turning that corner off that high ball screen.
Watkins underneath, and she's pushed. Here's Ashlyn Watkins at the free throw line. National champion LSU take on Ole Miss here on ESPN.
Leading the nation in scoring, averaging almost 95 points a game against one of the better defensive teams of Ole Miss. Ole Miss is holding teams to 52.4 points per game.
We mentioned Angel Reese, but Anissa Morrow, she's coming off 20.
Milwaukee reloaded from last year's national championship team.
Tessa Johnson.
She's a scorer. McDonald's All-American. She won the three-point shooting contest, but she's a player, I think, that could fill that role of a Bree Beal as she picks up it and continues to improve on the defensive side.
And how do you define that role from Bree Beal?
Oh, that's bully ball.
Yeah. Defense. But she's got a shot packed in her pocket.
Bree Hall for a three-point shot, but she relied on this one. Getting to the mid-range, just finding when that window opens at Bree Hall. This is a young woman who has been patient, waiting her time, and now has stepped into their starting role and done it with a bang.
Te-Hina Paopao on the defense, her first shot of the game, and it's a layup. Timeout, Mississippi State as South Carolina, 7 straight points in under a minute.
South Carolina got on a roll. First it was Tess Johnson, then it was Bree Hall. Now Te-Hina Paopao gets into the game. Not just offense, but defense that leads to the easy two. Don Staley can turn this team up.
South Carolina has hit its last 5 shots. Miracle Shepherd spinning around Kitts, finishing through contact. Paopao up ahead to Johnson. And Chloe Kitts fouled.
For Mississippi State, the 6-year player encouraging Miracle Shepherd, who's a freshman.
Jessica Carter in her 6th season.
It was almost a turnover by Shepherd.
9 seconds, Lauren Park Lane. And they get her for carrying.
May have scouted and known that at times she carries the ball.
8 seconds inside to Cardoso, working on Jessica Carter.
And I don't see that question mark from this year's team.
One for 2 for Cardoso. 6 seconds left in the quarter. Park Lane. Short.
And she has seen all different kinds of defenses. She's played all different kinds of teams. What does she do after hitting that game winner against Michigan State? But play Rutgers and go out and get a triple-double.
Her usage rate is higher than any other player. They're using her about 40% of the time.
Well, she's got to do a little bit more. No more Monica Zanano.
Right.
So, but she has really embraced that role. She can distribute it when she needs to, but more times than not.
Just looking at the first quarter box, Mississippi State outscored South Carolina in the paint. They only held the Gamecocks to 2 second-chance points. This is a South Carolina team that averages 17 second-chance points a game.
Has had to have celebrated that in that break between the first and second quarter.
Yeah, because South Carolina's the best rebounding team in the nation. Kids on the putback, and is there a showstopper for South Carolina, or are they more balanced?
They're so balanced, but at any given game, there can be somebody put on a show. We have not even seen Malaysia Full-Wiley come in the game, the freshman that put on a show that first.
Points in the paint, by the way, even now, and it's been the South Carolina guards that have helped them catch up in that category. Mississippi State
stingy with points as well, only give up 51. It's a big difference this year and last year, and I think the biggest...
Don Staley has talked about there were so many questions coming into this year because so many new...
She's had to teach habits, winning habits, how to practice, where each other going to play off those strengths, and that's what you go through in the non-conference. Now that conference season has really arrived, seems like things are starting to fall into place.
Cardoso and South Carolina well tested in the non-conference. They faced 4 ranked teams, beat all of them.
And Don's not afraid to have a challenging schedule. When you've got the talent on your roster, it doesn't do you any good unless...
But he said you can't just be Miss February. You got to be Miss November, December, January.
He wants her all over the calendar.
I don't blame it. The kick out to Rogers. Carter on the block. And just to Carter. This is the first of the big men. Kyle Filipowski, number 14 Duke, taking on Blake Hinson. Don't forget our triple header continues after this game. LSU and Ole Miss coming up on deck here on ESPN. Debris Chapeau, the long 2. Rebound by Paopao.
Especially at the talent level of Miracle Shepherd, you got to be excited about that.
10 seconds for the Gamecocks. Te-Hina, Paopao!
Because he doesn't really think his team would get second opportunities, so when they get those, you got to make them pay.
Carter does get that second deeper into the shot clock.
Well, you just have to. It doesn't necessarily mean you got to go deep and try to get later, but if it's not there, you're better off to get a shot clock violation than take a bad shot and let South Carolina get out and run.
And Cardoso throws it away.
So he's called them early like he told us that he would.
Back to Watkins. Cardoso waiting on the other side.
It's painful for these South Carolina fans sitting behind us when they're not able to finish with those putbacks.
Some good looks right at the basket. Now a 2-minute scoring drought for South Carolina.
Sam Purcell, Dap, Park Lane, a little 5 on the side. That's what that play's supposed to look like.
The takeaway, Jordan by herself. Back to back for Wiley. Too much. South Carolina hasn't scored in 3 minutes.
Well, this was a problem in the Florida game. When Don Staley went to her bench, they would go and get a little stagnant with their offense.
That's going to be...
I've been watching Lauren Park Lane while she's been on the bench with Sam Purcell. Those two have constant communication going on during the game.
Jordan turns it over. Paopao does not have help. She'll pull up, turn around, and shoot.
Woo! Watkins got up. Off the floor every time, make an attempt for those rebounds. She's just quick and got a terrific vertical.
And Don Staley mentioned to us the motor has clicked on for Ashlyn Watkins. She said it was questionable early on, but it's there now.
Mississippi State keeps hanging around.
They got the takeaway. Paopao did a great job of slowing.
Layup, you got to go off 2 feet or you've got to pull it out and wait for your team to get down the floor.
90 seconds to go in the half.
We haven't talked about Mississippi State and Yabba Dabba. When you take a charge, you get that offensive putback, you break up transition, Fred Flintstone. Yabba Dabba do.
Poe. Back to Mississippi State. And Lauren Park Lane stepped out of bounds.
Usually something that's given at weddings or graduations, but that unity is what she felt like she was getting here in Columbia.
And she has brought that unity to the floor for South Carolina. South Carolina shooting 50% from the field, right along their season average. 3 seconds. And South Carolina's defense doesn't allow them to get a good...
With Carter, Montague, and Bree Hall going all on the floor at the same time and use their size against South Carolina's length.
Both teams shot the ball pretty well in the first half. South Carolina shooting 50% from the field. There's Jessica Carter near the lane.
And any time that Mississippi State can get Chloe Kitt switched on to Jessica Carter, they need to go to her inside.
Paopao kicking out to Raven Johnson. Short in the corner, but Kitt's by herself waiting, can't finish. Cardoso can.
And get Cardoso switched off of Carter, and then you can go to your 6'5" center.
There's Carter, but she's matched up on Cardoso, and that's just tough to get around 6'7".
Yeah, you got to move her around. She's trying to go over 6'7", move her in a position where either she doesn't have to go against her or she can go around her.
Bree Hall to the free throw line. This time, no hesitation, steps into it. It bounces off the back of the iron.
Look, you couldn't hesitate for Mike Neighbors at Arkansas from three. If you're going to shoot it, shoot it.
Chloe Kitt, using that 15 pounds of extra muscle she added in the offseason.
You may look at her stature and say, oh, is she skinny? But Chloe Kitt says...
Lauren Park Lane, that ends a 3-minute scoring drought for Mississippi State. Look at the ball movement for South Carolina. Oh, the block from Montague. Bree Hall is short, but another offensive rebound. And Ashlyn Watkins in one. They don't quit.
South Carolina is built on rebounds. If you don't put a body on somebody to box out, they're going to make you pay every time, especially when Ashlyn Watkins is on the floor.
And that's the third foul on Jessica Carter. Ashlyn Watkins, one of a trio of players that decided they were going to stay for the first summer session. Got in the gym, got in extra work. Raven Johnson and Chloe Kitt being the other two. And Dawn Staley said, the next 3 months are going to be big for her growth.
Look, that's the future of South Carolina basketball, those three. Raven Johnson, Chloe Kitt, and Ashlyn Watkins. So for them to put in that kind of work early in their career can cause success in this program to live on. She's always looking at areas where they can improve.
That's a coach.
Look, okay, that's a little better. A little better. Look up, see? The wrinkle comes back in. Look.
She's got it. But we were talking to her before the game. She's got a young team.
Yeah.
So there's good, and then there's also youth that shows up.
And we asked her about comparing to other teams, and she's slow to do that because she said they're different teams. They got different skill sets. They have different strengths. I mean, the freshies last season, they were experienced. This team, this group, they're relatively young.
Montague fouled on the way up.
We talked about when you look up in the very top, this place has people that have bought tickets and sit up there to watch this team play.
Well, they have been first in the nation in attendance the last 9 seasons.
I talked to a gentleman in the hotel yesterday, and he said, Dawn Staley talked to the president of the university, and the president said Dawn Staley is the most popular person in South Carolina.
I believe it.
And this gentleman did not disagree either.
Yeah. Three seconds. Raven Johnson has to put it up. Rebound by Carter. Lauren Park Lane, the heave up ahead to Jacayla Jordan, and the transition bucket for the Bulldogs.
That's how Mississippi State can get back into this game. Force tough shots, and then rebound it and run before South Carolina can get their defense set.
Transition too much. There's Miracle Shepherd flying.
Sam Purcell is not one that is going to be able to just say, look, it's over. This team is going to continue to compete. I think Mississippi State has another run in them.
We've got a ton of time in this game, but South Carolina is so patient. Does not get rattled.
But how do you get back into a game against South Carolina, force outside shots, and you've got to box out?
There's a good take by Lauren Park Lane. South Carolina hasn't scored in 2.5 minutes. Breezy! So Kayla Jordan drops back. A little bit short. Here comes Paopao.
Now the biggest thing, you got to get to the shooters.
15 points for Bree Hall to lead South Carolina.
She's always been known as a defender, the ability to drive to the basket.
And a great example of trusting the process in her junior year, her biggest role yet. She was patient in her development.
That's key. Now in today's day and age with the transfer portal, Park Lane, she can either drive it or she can step behind it and hit the three.
She's going to throw it up to Carter. Still time for Shepherd. Swatted away by Cardoso. South Carolina up 62-46, and Bree Hall got her shot.
It is balanced. Just put it on a rope.
Well, that's tomorrow night, 7:30. South Carolina has extended this lead here in the second half. And Kamilla
Cardoso,
yes,
huge. She was the SEC Sixth Woman of the Year coming off the bench last season, now in a starting role, and she has really developed a dominating mentality on both sides of the floor.
Does that necessarily happen?
I think it definitely helped.
Yeah.
In playing with and against in practice every day and seeing the work habit and that work on your mental game that Aaliyah Boston did.
Of course, Aaliyah Boston, the former player of the year, the WNBA Rookie of the Year this season.
And she still has a hand.
Yeah, Tennessee led by Rakia Jackson, 27 points. Right now, they are outside of Charlie Cream's projection to get into the NCAA tournament field, but a lot of ground can be made up in the SEC. We saw Tennessee do that last year, especially with Rakia Jackson back.
That definitely.
Watching this South Carolina team, obviously the #1 team in the nation. Who in the...
Come on now.
You're going to see them next right after we're done here in Columbia.
And Angel Reese, Flau'jae Johnson. I mean, you have the addition, transfer, Haley Van Lith running the point.
What about Michaela Williams, too? I know you're big on her.
Oh, my gosh,
yeah.
that freshman. Let me tell you, the freshman across the country.
Well, she has only played 6 minutes in this game. Over 3,000 points in high school. She is a Columbia, South Carolina native.
But I think in the Sam Purcell way, as this team continues throughout the season, he's into it for 40 straight minutes.
Miss Erin Barnum at the free throw line the last 3 weeks. Darian Rogers was the most recent because she had a triple-double against Mississippi Valley.
You're just putting the pieces together.
Oh, Te-Hina Paopao. Don't forget, you'll see the defending national champions coming up next. LSU and Ole Miss here on ESPN when we're done in Columbia.
Thursday night, the Dress Like Kim night.
Oh, for the win. For the win.
Even Christy Tomascatti and Eric Reed put on the jacket.
There are a lot of questions around LSU right off the start of the season when they lost. One of the top teams in the nation.
Okay, you've got... That's how you learn. You can't, as a coach, you can't put a young player in and they make one mistake. As long as, I'm going to tell you, that both those coaches get a full workout in for 40 minutes.
There's Montague. You said at the beginning of the game, she's got to get more minutes for Mississippi State. She can really help them this season.
She's got great hands. But Montague, I think she can be a go-to force for the Bulldogs.
Bree Hall short. Jaw trying for the putback and then off of Bree Hall's hand. They're 1 for 10 though, their last field goals. Jaw goes to
and demanded a standard. And now the balance offensively of the different ways they can score make them a very tough team to deal with.
Well, we talked a little bit about LSU, South Carolina playing them on January 25th as Jordan.
I think that UConn will also challenge to see if South Carolina can consistently shoot it from the three. And it's going to be a fast-paced game.
Yeah.
Both teams are going to get up and down. Who's going to guard Paige Beckers?
ESPN2, North Carolina and Notre Dame in South Bend. Hannah Hidalgo having to carry a big load for Notre Dame.
Definitely, but she's getting some help from Maddie Westbeld. It's going to be a nice matchup, too, when you look at having Alyssa Utsby. She's leading the team at a forward position in rebounds and assists.
Just had a triple-double. Malaysia Full-Wiley back at the free throw line. South Carolina has hit 72% from the charity stripe today.
That's a good sign. That's been an area that's always been a little bit of a question mark, too, for South Carolina, is the consistency from the charity stripe. Compound word. Miracle Shepherd's she ain't gonna quit.
Yeah, this is a Mississippi State team. Have not seen them quit this entire game. Sam Purcell has a team of dogs, as he calls them. They've been playing hard for 40 minutes.
Well, you look at what they did last season. You talked about February, played into March, played themselves into the NCAA play-in game in the tournament. Deep in the tournament. She said even an opportunity to play for a Final Four. She believes in Stark Vegas.
Mississippi State's played in 2 Final Fours. Both of those coming under Vic Schaefer, who's now the head coach at Texas. Knocking down the three, Jasmine Brown-Haggard. Mississippi State came out swinging. They led by 5 in the first quarter. But South Carolina, no panic. A young team, but at times they look like veterans. They don't let a lot faze them.
Well, Mississippi State started out this game battling points in the paint, but then South Carolina was able to even the score, allowed South Carolina to get on the glass and really finding it hard to decide on who to stop because of their balanced scoring.
They've stopped the clock with 2.2. The handshakes had already continued.
The clock went out. There's the shot clock's back. Dawn and Sam, they just go stand at half court and visit through these last 2.2 seconds.
They had to get back in their coach's box. Now it's official. 49 straight home wins for Dawn Staley and South Carolina.
And they did it with a balanced attack.